What's up YouTube, Capital G here, looking at a brand new battle themed hand trap that's about to be released in the OCG as a promo from the victory jump. This is Interrupt Resistor, and this card is actually pretty interesting because its card design is very similar to that of Gorz or Trag. This is light attribute, it is a Cyber's type, 2100 attack, 0 defense, and it is level 6. The first effect says when you take battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to the damage you took. Second effect, once per turn during damage calculation, when another defense position monster you control is attacked by an opponent's monster, you can activate this effect. The defense of that monster becomes the same as this card's defense during that damage calculation. Also, it cannot be destroyed by that battle. So the reason I compare this to Gorz and Trag is because its summoning condition is identical to that of Trag. You basically take battle damage, you can drop this guy from your hand, but at the same time, it kind of has the attack gain effect of Gorz, where when you take battle damage, Gorz would give the token the damage that you actually took in way of attack value. And I do kind of like that this does feel like a happy medium between those two cards, because with Gorz, it kind of felt like an all or nothing card. A lot of times, if you were kind of banking on that Gorz, if you got hit with some type of way of negating a monster effect like a strike or a gladiator beast war chariot back in the day when Gorz was popular, maybe even like a random divine wrath or something like that, a lot of times you end up just getting OTK'd or you lose the duel because you didn't get to drop the Gorz and your board is completely naked. But at the same time, I've never really bought that much into Trag, and it's simply because Trag's stats are based on the amount of cards in your hand, and while that's really good if you have like 6 cards, it's not that good when you don't have a really big hand. This guy is a happy medium. The problem with this card is why it is a happy medium in summoning conditions, it doesn't quite have the utility of Gorz or Trag. I mean, its second effect to protect another monster that's in defense mode, I mean, that's okay. Obviously, you can't even use it with link monsters that you currently control because they can't ever be in defense mode. I don't really see how many times that's going to come up where you have a defense position monster on the field and you have this guy as well. Like, it would have been nice if he would have protected himself in defense mode. Like, that would have been kind of cool, because then if your opponent still had a bigger monster on the field, you could drop this guy in defense and, you know, not have to worry about dying from an attack or something like that. But I don't know, man. Like, with Gorz, it felt like a momentum based card that when you drop Gorz, a lot of times if your opponent couldn't get over it back in the day, it could completely turn the tide of a duel. And Trag had like a lot of utility because it could snatch still monsters, it could adjust its level so that you could synchro or exceed with it. This card's utility just isn't there. That second effect, I don't really see it being all that useful. So I think this card is ultimately going to end up being niche. And I think it will end up seeing less competitive play than Gorz and Trag ever did, especially, you know, in their primes, in their heyday, because keep in mind, both of those cards were at 1 at some points. And I think that maybe Konami could have put a better utility effect in this card. Like, maybe it could have counted as 2 link materials, because it is a Cyber's type monster, and obviously Cybers seem to have a heavy focus on link summoning. I think I understand why it can't target itself with its, you know, protect itself when in defense position, because I think if Konami was probably thinking if your opponent has a low attack monster and then a big monster, you'll probably drop this off the low monster, and then, you know, you've already dealt with that. You don't have to take the damage of the high monster, because if you drop this in defense mode and it can target itself, well, it would just survive that battle, and you've kind of just survived their battle phase. But at the same time, you have a monster with decent attack on the field and a monster that could still just sit in defense and kind of just wall up. So I think its offensive and its defensive potential would have been maybe a little too high, but I don't know. I feel like they could have felt, or they could have thought up maybe a little better of a utility effect, because again, I don't think that this card is as good as Gorz or Trag, even though it is a happy medium. Sometimes just, I don't know, the originals end up being better. But maybe you guys disagree. If you do, leave that in the comment section below. Or what ways do you guys think that this card actually can be used, or maybe potentially even exploited? I think that that's a little bit of a reach. But thank you guys for watching as always, and subscribe if you have not already. This video has been brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audible.com/MegaCapitalG. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your mobile device. I'm listening to the amazing I Can't Make This Up by Kevin Hart. Link in the description.